side. Here we go. Let's do the wet first because that takes a tiny little bit longer. So I can say this as many times as you like, but I won't say it too many or it gets dull. So the wet is 200 mils of milk. All right, so 200 mils of milk. What you then need to do is melt 25 grams of butter. Now, if you looked at the ingredients, and you might have done this already, well done, organise you, but I'm literally going to melt mine now. Turn it on. All right, so you just want some, or you can do it in the microwave, you haven't got to do it in the hob, just do it in the microwave, whatever's good for you. All right, so it's 200 mils of milk and 25 grams of butter that you're going to melt, so it's a liquid. While we're waiting for that to happen, or while I'm waiting for mine to happen anyway, I'm going to crack in 3 eggs into the milk. There's my milk, here's the eggs. I'm going to crack the milk into the eggs, all right? Easy as so far. So 1, 2 and 3, so that's 200 milk, 3 eggs, 25 grams of melted butter. Give that a little give that a little whisk together. All right, just wait for my butter to melt. Oh, and no wonder nothing's happening. I turned on the wrong one. Put it there, fine. Wonder why nothing was happening. Okay, so 200 of milk, 25 grams of butter, 3 eggs. All right, easy peasy. So let's do the dry then. So the dry is 200 grams of self-raising flour. Do note that in different pancake recipes it can change. Sometimes it'll be plain, sometimes self-raising. It kind of depends. It's 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Sorry, why I cough. So 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So although you're using self-raising flour, which is basically plain flour with baking powder in, you just want a little bit more rise, okay? So, 1 teaspoon and a half of that. So, Molly, in the jug is 200 mils of milk, 3 eggs, and as that happens, my butter is just melted, so we can do that. So, 200 mils of milk, 3 eggs, just melted my butter. Right, so it's a liquid, that's 25 grams of butter, and that goes in there, like that, okay? That's the wet ingredients. The dry ingredients, 200 grams of flour, self-raising flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Now just to be clear, the recipe says 3 tablespoons of sugar, but actually in the pancake you only put 1 tablespoon. The sugar comes, 2 tablespoons sugar comes later for the banana. All right, so just so we're clear, because you might have pre-measured it. So 1 tablespoon only of sugar goes into the pancake mixture, okay? So 1 tablespoon. So we've got 200 grams of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of sugar, okay? Fine. And that's it. Are we all okay and ready? So self-raising flour is 200 grams. So very quickly, the dry, 200 grams of self-raising flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of sugar. It doesn't really matter what sugar you use actually, but just, I think the recipe said golden caster, but I've got white granulated, that's absolutely fine. And then in the measuring jug is 200 mils of milk, 3 eggs, 25 grams of butter that's been melted. Okay? Is everyone all right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Granulated, caster, it can actually be brown, it can be golden, it doesn't matter at all. All right, we're all good. So hopefully logically, like if you were with me yesterday for the primary one, which you may have been, you simply add the wet to the dry. Right, standard procedure, chuck it in. Try not to splash it everywhere, he says. Splashing it everywhere. Get a whisk. One whisk. And we whiskey. Right. Give a decent whisk, get any lumps out. Okay. Like I said yesterday, as a by the way, these pancakes, or any pancakes, heat up again, no problem at all, in the microwave, right? Really, the microwave's it's a good thing to use for heating up pancakes of any description. This is included in that, all right? So what we're saying is that don't try and be clever and sort of do them to order, because it often goes wrong. So you know, you can literally just do one and then keep, you know, make them all, and then when people want to eat them, just do the final bit, and then you can microwave them. Really simple. Okay, let's start making the pancakes then, all right? And then what we can do is we can then stack them up, and then we can do the banana a bit later, all right, in 5 minutes or so. So, just like the other pancakes, you need, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually move the camera down, all right, so it's actually on the cooker, all right? So, apologies if I miss any comments, because obviously I'll have to put my head in an odd position. Right, so, 1 sec, try and push that down a bit more. Fine, so what we're going to do then is, if you've got gas or electric, you want it midway. If you have it too high, it will burn and not cook. If it's too low, then what will happen is it will just kind of sit there and look at you. All right, you actually want to, you know, it needs to cook when you put it in, but not too quick. So it's a fine art. So we want a little bit of oil, I mean a little, like a teaspoon of oil, just stop it sticking. On my cooker, I've got 6 options, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll put it on number 4 to give you an idea. Now what the plan of action is, just so you know, is that I will put in a spoonful of mixture in here when it heats up. Once it's in there, I'm then going to get a teaspoon, and I'm going to put a teaspoon of the chocolate spread or Nutella or whatever you've got in the middle of the pancake, and then literally with a little bit of mixture just cover it over. Carry on the cooking and then turn it over. Okay? So, allow that to heat. So I'm just going to sort myself out and get a spoon for this. You could, it depends how big you do it. You know, I'm going to do sort of individual kind of portions, I guess. So I'm going to do one in the middle, but there's no reason you couldn't do like little dots of Nutella if you wanted to. But let's see how it goes. So the way that we tell if it's hot enough, because you can't, it's very difficult to tell, and you certainly don't want it smoking, that'd be too hot, is to use said teaspoon. I'll have to wash it, but that's fine. Notice, by the way, if you look yours, it's really puffy, and that's because we've actually put a mixture of self-raising flour and also baking powder in there, so a chemical reaction creates CO2 and makes it naturally fluffy. If I literally just put a little blob in the middle, right, I'm just going to wash my spoon. And as soon as that little blob starts to set and cook, that will give me the idea, that will indicate to me that it's hot enough. If you put a little blob in as a tester and it starts to fry too quick, it's too hot, turn it down. All right, so you're in control, remember. Is everyone okay? Oh, okay. A teaspoon of tablespoon, do you know what? It's your bag, to be honest. It is, to be honest, up to you. Probably a teaspoon. I don't go mental because it, you know, it could be a bit much. All right, I'll maybe wait and see what mine looks like. All right, and then, okay, so this is a little bit longer. Apologies, hanging around. If you are hanging around, you can actually cut the banana if you want to. If you're waiting for anything to heat up. All right. So we want the banana, just quickly, although we're going to use this later, we're not going to actually start cooking the banana until all the pancakes are done. So now we just peel the banana. And the way that you want to cut the banana is, move up to see it, is in fairly chunky slices, right? It's meant because what happens is banana kind of melts a bit when you fry it. So you want it in decent chunks. If you don't do it in decent chunks, it will sort of dissolve when we're frying it in the caramel in a little bit. All right, so it needs to be fairly chunky, just as a by the way. All right, so there we go. All right, so let's have a look at my mini one. Is this frying? I think it probably is. Okay, so the skill of a pancake is the heat, definitely. All right, it is absolutely definitely. So as you can probably see, that's now set. Little mini dinky pancake, look at that, look, marvellous. So that's now heating up, great. So what's gonna happen now is the following. I'm gonna put some spoonfuls of mixture. Let me get another spoon now. All right, here we go. So have a quick look. If you're not looking at the screen at the moment, I probably would do. All right, so I fried my little tester. It's come out, so it's cooked. I now know I'm probably gonna be okay. Let's have a look. I'm gonna put a couple, these are like regular dessert spoons I've got. A couple of dessert spoons. What you now do, and this is now important, is don't faff about. Get a spoonful, teaspoon of Nutella, just plonk it in the middle, right in the middle. As I said, if you want to, you can do little blobs. What you then do, when it's finished, yeah? Because we've got to turn this over, so that's not good, it's going to burn. So what you then do is get another spoon of mixture and just put that over the top so it seals it. Okay? Whenever you guys are happy to get going, you get going, right? So I'm going to plod my way through making all these. Jake, it might say quarter cup measure. We're English, not American. That's why it doesn't say cups. Okay, so when you're frying this, what we're looking for is little bubbles to appear, little air bubbles. And you will see, if you're cooking this, it will start going brown around the edge. Once we do that, we need a slice under, gently turn over, okay? This is all about being careful and gentle, right? This is not meant to be fast because otherwise it would be raw in the middle, too quick, you know, etc. The other way around, right? Etc. etc. So, nice golden brown. Let's turn over. So, you want a confident turn. Plop. There we go. And we're going to cook that on the other side. I would guess a minute on each side. It's around that, I would have thought, okay? I think my sides are pretty good. That was sort of 2 dessert spoonfuls because it will spread and obviously it will puff up as well. Is everyone okay? Are there any problems, any issues at all? Please tell me if there are. So this is why, as you can see, it takes a little bit of time to, good, I'm glad to see that. It takes a little time to kind of set, and also time to make, so you can't, making them to orders, I always think is utter madness. There we go. So there's mine done. All right, see, it's that way. All right, we're all good, and I'm just gonna put mine in a plate, or on a plate. All right. If you are kind of eating these now, you can actually put a tray in the oven, a baking tray in the oven, really, really low, and just put them on the baking tray. They keep them warm. Like I say, these zap, you know, these heat up really well. Really important, by the way, you must put more oil every time you fry it, otherwise it will stick. Right, that is vital. So you want around a teaspoon every time you cook. Okay, so again, 1 spoon, 2 spoon. Spoon of the chocolate spread. Cover it with, there we go. What I want to show you then is just two things quickly, all right? And I know you can do things because you're all very clever. Get the frying pan again on the same heat, but listen, no oil. And this is only if you've got hazelnuts, right? Can I just stress that? Hazelnuts as a nut, or most nuts, actually are pretty dull if they're not toasted, all right? They really don't taste so much at all. But when you toast them, they are massively better. They have tons of flavour. All the natural oil comes out. So what we're going to do is toast them. No fat in here at all. I've just given mine a quick wash. So the toasted hazelnut goes in. And we're just going to dry fry the hazelnuts. It literally will take about 1 minute. And all that happens, you'll start to smell them. Don't let them burn because they taste bitter, but it's going to take about 1 minute, right? It really will not take long at all. And then we're going to caramelise our banana. And then we are jolly well done. And when it's half term, hurrah. Is everyone okay? Any issues? I'm just going to put my hazelnuts back in the jug in a second. Don't forget, with your banana, you want it in, you can see this, fairly decent chunks, all right? Because banana, like most fruit, kind of mushes down when you cook it. All right, so you want it fairly chunky, otherwise you're going to get a banana mush rather than banana. I'm not going to put, right, you haven't got smelly vision, unfortunately, but I can smell the hazelnut now. There's an actual aroma of hazelnut. That's telling me these are toasting. All right, so I'm going to give these another 10 seconds. That's fine. All right, you won't see much of a change, but you certainly will smell the change. They are really hot, by the way, right? Nuts get really hot. So put them to the side, give this a quick wipe out. Please watch this bit because this actually will involve caramel, which can take the skin off your hands. You now need the final 2 tablespoons of sugar in your clean frying pan. There is no water in here. There's no oil in here. It literally is sugar. And all that's going to happen is when you allow this to caramelise. So please watch. If you're not, should be fairly quick. If the pan is hot, it will be fairly quick. And what we're going to wait is, and you will need a spoon as well. Can you see this on the camera changing? So over 2 tablespoons of sugar going here, and we just want them, now be really careful because if you take this too far, it will be burnt and smell burnt. I'm going to stop there, it gets smoky. Can you see the colour of that? Do it no more than that. What we're now going to do, and please be careful, put the bananas in and we're going to let them sizzle in the caramel. Trust me, this caramel will take off your skin if you get your hands too close, all right? So, they go in and they're literally going to take 1 minute. That's all. We're just warming the banana up. With the caramel. So you're getting caramel. If for some reason it's gone, it goes a bit kind of, you see on the end of my spoon? Goes a bit thingy there. What you can do is actually add a teaspoon of water. And what will happen is, it will sizzle, but that will loosen the mixture slightly, all right, if you need it to. Remember, the point is you're just coating the banana in the syrup, in the caramel. Nothing else, you're not really trying to cook the banana as such, you're just giving it a nice coating. If this happens to your spoon, don't think, oh my God, he's ruined my spoon. If you literally put this in a pot of water or a cup of water and leave it for an hour, that will just melt off, right, without any problem. Do not panic, that's fine, because at the minute that is quite solid caramel. Right, our bananas are now done. There's our pancakes. Here's our bananas on top. See that around the camera? What we now do, toasted hazelnuts go on. And we get our syrup. I'm not going to put mine on, I'm having mine later. And we pour a little bit of syrup over the top. How easy but amazing is that? And that can all heat up again in the microwave, right? And probably not as a whole kind of pile, but you certainly could dismantle it, and then you could put like a couple of pancakes and a few bits of banana and a few hazelnuts in the not the maple syrup, heat them up and then pour the maple syrup on, and then that'll be absolutely amazing.